Unspeakable is brought to you by Nikki Hit Beauty Studio, Mountain Anton Koto, Buna Musa di Douala, and Prime 22 Bar and Restaurant, Bukwango, Booyah.
The Cameroon Association of Anglophone Comedians, CAMComics, excommunicated a member a couple of weeks back. Tembu Daniel, aka Danny Green, aka 237 Town Crier, for those who follow him on social media, and it ended up in a big blow. I don't know whether to the organization or to the member. Now it has been a back and forth fight over does he come back into the group, because he said he was not even a member of the group in the first place. So how come he was being excommunicated from a group he was not even a member of? So my guys here, Kwa and Yana, this thing has been trending for like 2 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. It draws us to the question of cultural associations and how they disbar members, right, generally across the world. When it came to this one, CAMComics, the comedians, right? Did you even know that comedians have an association?
Or just until that day, no idea.
Okay, so which means the brand, they've not branded themselves enough for us to know that they have an association.
I assume that they would. They will have.
Yeah, but
it's just something we did not know.
It's you just assuming.
I assumed that they will have an association that they share common values and all that, but that I had never heard of the association. I just assumed,
I also think that there was
probably shocked when they decided.
Not really. There was actually never a need for them to come out like that. I think this was.
Okay, so how do you think it was handled? Do you think it was the whole saga, the whole excommunication saga?
I think it was setting an example because the guy has been constantly, to quote Obada comic, disrespecting them. So when they set that example on one comedian, it sort of sets a precedent in such a way that other comedians will now know how to toe the line and act accordingly. So basically, that's it.
There was in the press release that was sent out. They claimed that he was not only arrogant, but he also accused members of the group of threatening his life, of saying that he wants to kill him. So which led everybody to be like, okay, since he wants to kill you, Oga, pack your bag and take off. But he said that he was not even a member of the group.
Yeah.
So which leaves us like, okay, so he was not a member. How come he was being sent away if he was not part of you guys?
First of all, the document, such a badly worded document signed by adults, it was horrible. But one of the key things that this reveals was how disorganized the association itself would be. That there is nothing, there are no bylaws essentially that says how a member would get into how you gain membership. But for the fact that they add you to your WhatsApp group, perhaps they say you have become a member of CAMComics.
I mean, being a comedian naturally adds you to the group.
I don't know. I mean, if being a comedian automatically makes you a member
of the group,
then anybody could add. I know funnier people like Godis, Soliegbe, who pass easily for superior comedians, here. Lovett Lambert this year has produced the most viral comic skit, with that
Kwako go sweet so.
So I think that they had a joke.
So the major thing is that I think somebody
should be the best you can ever crack.
Somebody left a comment on social media. I think it was Bella from Thunder Magazine, and she said that. So you guys have expelled the only funny comedian from the association.
Who is that supposed to be?
Bella.
I mean, who's the funniest comedian?
Danny Green.
Oh, okay.
Danny Green seems to be the funniest person in the group, and you guys are. So which means you guys are left with unfunny comedians. But that also leaves me to ask, like, do you think that Cameroonian comedians are struggling to be funny?
I think you just have to run down the gauntlet of the comedians. I'll add Soliegbe and Lambert and Godis and Alene.
Yeah.
These are supposed to be actors, but who actually produce content that is actually funny.
Yeah.
Perhaps even more than the comedians. Now, but if you go down the list, let's go one after another. You go with Calvin, right? It's not funny. You take
but I think his Mami Plipe used to be it's actually funny.
He's not funny. Then you take Oboy.
He is on some days.
He's a good journalism student. You take Oboy that comic. I think that he's energetic. I think he's very pushful. I think he's a business person. He's not funny.
On some days, anyway. It's funny on some days.
I think, first of all, because of his comedic timing, and all of that. But he's very pushful. I think that sometimes drive
Can make people laugh.
No, well, I'm just trying to. And then you have CY International. His comedy was shared by Ito, so it's a big deal. He's borderline funny. You have Senior Pastor, whom I think is the funniest comedian that we have.
Yep.
I think that he reads. He's in tune with
culture,
with his environment. He thinks profoundly. That he's someone whom you could use, could represent us anywhere.
I mean, Orange is the same. Orange is the same.
Yeah. Then we have Danny Green and he's crying. He's crying shame. His crying joke. The joke that well, you get the point. The idea is how much crying can he do for 1 hour of a show?
Good question.
How much crying will he do in front of, say, the president of the World Bank?
Good question.
Is that his audience, though?
No, listen.
Audience.
So where is the audience? What is the aspirational thing in that type of supposed comedy?
It's supposed to be like a punchline where if he cracks a joke and then he gets to the point, he cries. But I don't think it's funny anyway. I'm just saying that's supposed to be the punchline of his art.
I think that is funny that they think it's funny because it's
okay.
I really do not find it funny.
No, I actually don't find it funny. But I'm saying that the idea is supposed to, the idea of his crying is supposed to be like a punchline where he cracks a joke and then he cries.
No, but he starts everything by crying. Like the entire thing is a tearful session.
Yes.
It's a clown crier.
Where he's crying.
So can he do that for an hour? Stand-up comedy, can he do that?
The thing is, you can do that, but then how do you deliver it? What's the content? What's the idea behind it? Because at the end of the day,
even if there are different stories, that's the point.
Yeah.
Even if there are different stories that you have to say, you have to cry throughout the whole session.
And I don't think that it's been original.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
this is on IG.
Now the Cameroon comedians, do they lack originality, creativity, or they just don't know how to make viral content?
They're not in tune with culture. That's the thing. Because the thing is, I think comedians are philosophers who tell serious things in a light-hearted way.
Yes.
That's who comedians are. And if you're a comedian and your first shot at comedy is being savage, it's just insulting people. That's not comedy. That's being insulting.
Yeah.
Insulting.
Yeah, but there's a problem here now.
Yeah.
Which is why I disagree with, as much as I don't like Danny Green's comedy.
Yeah.
I disagree with the idea that he's supposed to be, even if he were a member, removed from the group because they find him to be arrogant. You see, I am a big proponent supporter of freedom of expression.
Yep.
And I think that part of freedom of expression involves the right to offend.
Yes.
That sometimes with comedy especially, it is a thin line to walk between what is offensive and what is comical. And that most comedians actually say things which ordinarily will be considered offensive, but because they come under the canopy of comedy, it takes
lighter.
Yes. Yeah. Now, the only reason why I can support that is that after he's been excommunicated, the type of support that comics received showed that he had been mean and destructive.
Yeah. This is an alleged story, but I think this is actually quite factual. I think he wanted to beat up a blogger, Dicho Boris from Equat TV or something like that. And I heard that it was a whole session in Douala, right? People had to get in and try to, So coming from that, I think that was the last straw that I heard from Danny Green. I was like, that was you attacking somebody over maybe a comment the person made or something that you didn't like what the person said or did. I don't know. But I think there could have been a better way of him handling that instead of going to physically attack somebody. They could sue you for that.
And he's somebody who went through medical school, who's supposed to know better about human relation and interaction. I mean, he went. He says he got it from medical school. So
I think that was the last straw, and everybody just said, you know what, we are tired of this boy. Go away.
I mean,
but then he says that he was not a member of the group. It's also funny now. It's like, okay, should we take this association seriously, or do we take Danny Green seriously?
I think
where do all of them stand at this point?
I think it was a learning curve for all of them, because at the end of the day, if you never do, you will never know. Because now they've done this, they're learning from it, and he himself is learning. Because on Napster's show, they kissed and made up and everything, and then he gave this guy over. Yeah, hey.
I had no idea.
It was quite cute, you know.
All right.
And he didn't.
Kissing was cute.
Everything about it.
Okay.
But if you want to pay focus on that, yeah.
Yes. Yes, I see. I think that we should not miss sight of the fact that these guys, however we might not find their craft to be funny, that they do have an audience that find them, because these things can be very subjective.
Yeah, subjective. Anyway,
they can be very subjective. So they do have their audience. My primary problem has been with the fact that there is no new material.
Yeah.
That I've attended some of their shows where the same joke has been repeated in 5 shows. 5 different shows. You repeat the same joke. It stops being a joke.
The same audience, right?
It stops being a joke. It becomes information. It cannot.
So remember this. Take note of this.
Five times, and you're like, okay, this is supposed to be fun. It's not.
But the thing is, I know they're right. It's about the quality of the content, because at the end of the day, when you tell these jokes, it represents us one way or the other.
Yes.
Like now, you listen to Lambert. That is your go with sweet. I mean, that was something. It's relatable.
Yes.
You understand now? So you start knowing that, okay, these are the nuances to our culture, to how people interact in society. Because I know you're supposed to reflect society, or bring out things which you find very
actors are doing it tremendously great.
Yeah, I mean, God is. I saw his. If you follow him on TikTok, he's doing quite well on TikTok.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing. Really good.
So
you see how effortless it is.
Alena's advert for MTN.
Yes, I did.
You saw how beautifully pulled.
Everything was nice.
And there's another thing too. I
And
think
that's saying a lot, you know.
I think there's another thing with Cameroonian comedians. They think that by being clumsy, you're funny. That's not how you don't have to be clumsy to be a comedian. Yeah, you don't have to be. And another thing
Can
too,
you say this from your vast experience as a comedian?
looking at you, that's what I'm saying.
Guys, we're going to leave it at that. The Cameroonian Association of Anglophone Comedians, please, you guys should put everything right. I think that for me,
Good job.
I think that you guys should have handled that situation more privately than putting out on social media for the social media court to give their opinion on what happened.
No, I think
That Greenie said that on the radio
in an
show.
association that we practically almost did not know that it existed. So you guys should have just handled it. But there are always a better, more peaceful way of handling situations. That's what I feel. That's what I feel. I didn't like it. Anyway, on to the next one. We're going to move on to DJs playing local music to promote national culture. Are Cameroonian DJs doing enough for our music artists? We'll be right back.
Yep.
Fri.PM is brought to you by Nikki Hit Beauty Studio, Mountain Anten Koto, Buna Musari Douala, and Prime.22 Bar and Restaurant, Bukwango Booyah.
My country people, on behalf of Village Ancestral Spirits, I invite you now for like, subscribe, comment for Fri.PM and all our social media platforms. Follow us.